Welcome to my 2018 Senate predictions. This is the map as of now, with 48 Democratic seats, 52 Republican seats. The seats in blue are the Democratic seats up for re-election, and the seats in red are the Republican seats up for re-election. As of now, there are 5 seats that are Democratic that are in states Trump won by 20% or more. So those would be Montana, North Dakota, Missouri, Indiana, and West Virginia. There are 5 other states which Trump won that have Democratic senators: Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Florida. Finally, there's one state that Clinton won that has a Republican senator, and that would be Nevada. And then there's one state, Arizona, which was very close in 2016, which looks to be competitive for a Senate race in 2018. So as of now, the Republicans already have a majority with 50 seats plus the VP. But I think you will see some Republican gains in the 2018 Senate elections, and that's mainly due to these states like Montana, North Dakota, Missouri, and Indiana, which went for Trump by big margins. So I'm going to start in Montana, where I think it'll actually flip to Republican, mainly because, and I'll go through all of them actually. Montana, North Dakota, Missouri, and Indiana, I think they all will flip. Because I think the message the Democrats will be putting forth this election will be very opposition to Trump, and trying to, nationally trying to tie Republicans to Trump, and Republicans are going to try to tie Democrats to Nancy Pelosi. And in these red states, Republicans' efforts will almost surely be more successful than Democrats. And also in 3 out of these 4 states, their senators are not very well liked. That'd be Montana, Missouri, Indiana. They're not hated. They're just don't have above a 50% approval rating. Next, I think Democrats will actually hold West Virginia, and this is simply because West Virginia still isn't as partisan as the rest of the country, to say. They still will vote for Democrats or Republicans, even though they vote for Trump by a 40% margin. They're still open to Democrats, and Joe Manchin, the Democrat there, is very conservative. He even talked to joining the Republican Party after the 2016 elections, or before the 2016 election. And he's well liked there. He's a former governor. I think he'll be able to retain his seat. Pennsylvania, I think Democrats will keep this seat, mainly because it's hard a lot of times to turn out the Trump voters in midterms when Trump isn't there to energize them and to turn out, because even if he goes in campaigns for senators in places like Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, the nominees just don't have the same energy Trump has, and the same traction to the blue-collar voters that he did during the 2016 election. And I think it'll be hard for Republicans to flip this, with suburban voters probably leaning more Democratic in the 2018 election than usual. Ohio, I think, will go Republican. There's already a presumptive kind of Republican nominee, Josh Mandel, and in polling with the incumbent by Democratic agencies, by Democratic pollsters, he's up already 8 points or so, and he took very Trump, angle to this, and he kind of sort of embodies Trump in a lot of the ways he talks and his actions, and he's a young guy, and he has a lot of enthusiasm, so I think he'll be able to get blue-collar voters to turn out for him, and he'll be able to take his Senate seat. Michigan, I think, will also go to the Republican. It looks like it's going to be Kid Rock there, and if any of you guys know who Kid Rock is, he's a famous music artist from the state, and he's kind of like the stereotypical blue-collar man. He like represents what Detroit is to the white working class, and I think he'll be able to again turn the white working class out like Trump did in this state. If it wasn't Kid Rock, I don't think Republicans would even have a shot in Michigan, but because of him, I think they're going to win the Senate seat. Arizona, I think Republicans are going to keep the Senate seat mainly because Trump was able to keep the state even though he disenfranchised a lot of traditional Republican voters, and I think a senator, a traditional establishment Republican senator like the man, Jeff Flake there, will be able to turn out those voters that usually come out and vote in midterms, the reliable Republican voters that didn't vote for Trump, and I think he'll actually end up having a comfortable victory there, even with Democrats rallying up their Latino base. I don't think it'll be enough to overcome the strong, like moderate Republican base in Arizona. Florida, this is a really hard one. The incumbent, Bill Nelson, he's not popular, but he's not like loved by the state, and looks like the senator, Rick Scott, the governor of Florida, Rick Scott, who's very popular, handled the Pulse nightclub shooting very well, will be running against him, and I am going to give this to Republicans because even if Trump's approval rating is underwater, I think one of the things you can never do is underestimate the Trump supporter. If they have the right nominee, which I think Rick Scott is a good person for the state, and I think he'll be able to turn out a lot of the Trump voters. I also think he'll be able. Latinos won't necessarily come out for the Democrats because they like Rick Scott. They won't see it as much as voting against Trump. They'll see it in a different light because, like, if you look at North Dakota, Montana, Indiana, Missouri, back in 2012 when Democrats were elected to all 4 of these states, Obama had pretty low approval ratings, around 38-40% at the most in all 4 of them, and they all went Democratic. And so I think you have to remember that approval rating doesn't necessarily mean everything. The approval rating of the president, the candidate, does affect what happens in the state, and Rick Scott is a very strong candidate. Even Bill Nelson's campaign has said they don't want to run against him because he's very well liked and he has great leadership qualities. Lastly, in Nevada, I think Dean Heller will end up winning Nevada. 1, because he's the incumbent, which sounds stupid, but incumbents usually have an edge, and I also just think Democrats will try to energize the Latino base to get out and vote, and they will probably be successful, but the question is how much of that Latino base goes Democratic. If Dean Heller gets 35% of the Latino vote, which is around what Trump got, even though Trump lost the state, Dean Heller can win because it's assumed that he probably will capture more of the white vote. I also just think because he's pretty well liked there, it'll help him in that election. So this is my 2018 Senate election map. 59 Republicans, 1 away from a supermajority, and 41 Democrats in the new Senate. Thank you for watching.